I was just checking out when last you were on the podcast. Do you want to? This is going to be episode. I know it's rather crazy, just because I have like some sort of disorder about the podcast. Like I do way too much of it, but not saying that this shouldn't be on the. I'm just saying I do a lot. I've done a lot in the last 7-8 years, but this is going to be episode 494. Yeah. That you're on. Exciting. Thursday, right? But do you want to know what the last time you were on? What number that was?
So that was, I think it was 2014. Maybe it was.
I don't think so.
It might have been 2013. Are we thinking? What year is it? 2018.
Well, I pulled it up because I was kind of curious.
Yeah, I think it was 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to guess 107.
This is shocking even to me, but was a very different. I was still doing it as a internet radio show, I think, then with the box radio, and I was one of my when I just started doing remote. Like usually, I did them in the studio, live, and then they would be podcast at some point, like after that. Anyway, point being, 51, number 51. Wow. Yeah, it's like at the very beginning. So you're one of the first. It's nice to bring it back on.
One of the cool kids. First 100. I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Now, the name of the film is called
Me Time.
Me Time, and it's a short.
It's a short comedy, yeah. It's a short, earnest, feminist comedy. Sex comedy.
Okay, earnest feminist.
Yeah.
That's how, okay. And you are trying to raise X amount. How much?
$22,000.
Oh, that's okay. That's very doable. And
I think we just passed 10,000.
Oh, great. That's a benchmark.
Yeah.
And so you're about almost halfway, or where are you at with the what's the deadline?
Oh, yeah, halfway through. So the deadline is July 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. So go to Kickstarter. We're going to just say right from the top here before we even describe in more detail.
Sure.
You can find the campaign. I watched the video. It's funny. You kind of temporarily cast yourself as the main character, but you are planning to... Oh, no, you have cast.
We have cast.
So this is production costs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's not...
Above.
Yeah.
Everything.
There's not really cost besides that when you're making a short film.
No, right. It's a one dash to the finish line, I suppose, as opposed to when you're doing a feature, it just can take so long and there's so many components to it and you don't know how it's going to be necessarily financed, and financing plans change all along the way. So you're always kind of, but this is, you kind of have to plan, I guess, the thing because it's going to happen. And you shoot something like this in how many days, for instance? How many days would it take to shoot?
Shooting 3 days. Yeah. And it's probably in early August. And with shorts, it feels like you're kind of fundraising all at once. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe, in the fall, if I could raise more money or something to go to Post or something, or for like that. Yeah. The festival push, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, shorts, funding shorts is kind of its own beast. It seems like you kind of have to like figure it out outside of the system. I mean, Kickstarter really helps with that, but in terms of like getting money from, organizations or grants, and it doesn't make sense to wait for a grant for 5 months to do a short film.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And you'll get nothing but get a lot of people criticizing you because they're going to say, you just go out and do it. You can't wait for, I think a feature is a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that shorts are super important for how a filmmaker develops, and people who are able to afford to make shorts are either doing them for very, very cheap, and they may not, be as high quality as they should be for what they're trying to do, which is like have a calling card, or something. And so if it doesn't have like, super high quality, it's like kind of hurting that calling card thing anyways. But like to have high quality, you have to spend money, and oftentimes I think short filmmakers are just using that money out of their own pockets, asking friends and family kind of thing.
Sure. You kind of answered my next question just now, because I was going to ask you why you chose to make a short as opposed to just making a feature film.
Yeah.
But is it fair to say the answer would be because it's important to the development of a filmmaker to do the short route?
Yeah, I mean, I'm making a short because I wanted to make this film. It sort of just came to me. Me Time comes from a really, authentic and personal place, and I think it's like a key component in the kinds of films that I want to make, which are really personal but also really universal on a bigger way. It's about women's sexuality, it's about masturbation, it's about inhibitions and all the sort of chatter in your head when you're trying to maybe like tap into something with yourself, but aren't able to. And so my character in the film's name is Deborah. So instead of kind of pushing those voices away from her, the ones who are saying, I'm stressed out, what are we going to do? I need to decompress. The ones who are saying, well, let's go, there's like a self-care version of her that is interested in self-love and masturbation as a way as a healing and a positive activity that is like enriching and empowering and will replenish something that a person needs or make you feel more grounded. And so that's one aspect of her. So the thing is that with Me Time, there's Deborah, and then there's 3 aspects of herself that kind of pop out in the film. And so that one is called Soulful Deb. And then there's Sexy Deb, who is a version of Deborah who like fondly remembers what I call the slut years, in your early 20s when... Is it what? You're like, I don't know what that is.
Well, that's another show.
Okay.
I had slut years, but it was way later.
Right. Okay.
I
maybe
was desperately on. Oh yeah. Go ahead. I apologize.
I mean, everyone's slut years are different, and that's okay.
Yes, it is okay. Yes.
Yeah. So, but sometimes so this character, Sexy Deb, like sort of fondly remembers them as like a distant past, and it's like, oh, but remember that was nice, But then there's and then there's like a scaredy cat version of Deborah who is sort of just wants to just like chill out and watch Gilmore Girls and eat oatmeal and kind of is just like is holding all the inhibitions between the 4 of them. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Oh well, you're describing these components of one's personality.
Right.
So do you feel like it's a matter of that exists inside of you?
Yeah.
And so therefore it's all about how you manage those things. Getting through the day and through your world, right, is how you manage those 3 people within you.
Well, yeah, and so I think I was going to say, instead of pushing them away, Deborah chooses to engage with them.
Okay.
And so they have the film is basically a conversation between them about each of their perspectives about their sexuality and sort of their own evolution as separate pieces and how they mesh together and those inhibitions and things that I refer to, like pushing through something to connect with yourself in a different way. And so even though, people maybe cringe at the word masturbation or feel like it's really kind of a personal thing to talk about, or, maybe more with women than with guys. But it is, it's personal, but it's completely universal. Every single woman I talk to about this film is like, oh, I'm this Deb, I'm that Deb, I'm this Deb and that Deb.
Yeah.
Like it completely, everyone identifies with it.
Sure.
And most men that I talk to are like, that's great. They just want to support. They're like,
yeah,
right on.
It's funny. Like, yeah, all of the contributions have been men so far. The $10,000.
Oh, for what?
I'm just kidding. For your film. I'm just kidding. Right?
I know.
It'd be funny though.
No, that would be funny.
Are you going to cast 3 different? Well, I understand that you'll have one main actor who's going to play, Deborah, and then are you going to have 3 other actors, or are you going to have Deborah play all four roles in a way?
It's one actress, and she's been cast. Her name is Adenike Thomas.
Oh, okay.
And she's playing all 4 Deborahs.
Yeah.
So this is going to be really a fun challenge, like using visual effects. And, just like you might have seen in Orphan Black or United States of Terra or other films where there's one actress playing multiple characters, where you see them all on screen at the same time, we're going to be able to play with that kind of stuff. So it's like not only just like, kind of a fun comedy and like, a feminist conversation, but it's also, some interesting special effects that we don't often get to see, like women filmmakers get to play with.
Yeah.
And also a really robust role for an African-American actress, which we also never get to see. So she's playing 4 different people, really, but who are all in the center of the same person. So there's all these nuances to like find the core and then find the little pieces to pull out for each one.
Terrific.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
She's going to be very busy.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of funny because you have to reshoot. You have to shoot It seems like a lot. You're going to use, how do you do that? Do you still use somebody like doubling up, like as the other person, and you replace them? Is that how it works? So they can act off somebody?
We're going to have a body double for sure, maybe 2, just because, for like an over the shoulder, for body placement, or like if someone hands someone something, or if there's multiple hands or that kind of thing. Or just have like someone's body kind of in out of frame, or like in frame, but you don't see their face kind of thing. Yeah. But also, so she can have someone to act off of, because it's a comedy and it's timing. 4 people. Yeah. So there's like rhythm.
Timing. Yeah. You have to establish that. And exactly. It seems like you have to kind of establish it and then reestablish it almost, because you're going to have to redo the scenes with the existing timing already in place, right? I guess editing will help a lot too.
Editing will help. Cutaways will help.
Do you have an editor, or are you going to edit?
Not yet. Okay. Some people in mind, but it's going to be a fun edit. Mm-hmm.
It'll be a fun challenge, for any editor. Yeah, I agree. But I could see this as being a real fun thing.
Well, the thing is, I think that with shooting, it's going to be interesting because usually if there's only one main character, all of the perspective is kind of either from them or towards them. Mm-hmm. But because all 4 of them really have their own moments, it's kind of like 4 completely different perspectives. And since, again, we're playing with them really being the same person, there's like an opportunity to play with like, who is the center of the conversation, but also making sure that it's really clear to the audience who each one is and all that kind of stuff. And what their points of view are.
Well, you'll have to create some sort of way of doing that, which sounds like just once you have it, you'll know it'll be clear. Mm-hmm. You'll have found a way to do that so we don't confuse the Deborahs.
Yeah. Well, they'll look different too. Of course. They'll have different like costumes and stuff.
Yeah. No doubt.
But of course. But like, there's just something that's gonna be a fun like cinematography challenge too.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you in writing the screenplay? I guess have you had to work out all of that? Just the logistics, and is that all part of what you're doing already, or is that the next step? Already, maybe you already have the script, or I guess it's a screenplay.
Yeah, the script is done. Yeah, the script is done. Now that Adenike has been cast, we're gonna work together to make sure the characters like fit different things that she's interested in trying out, and are a little bit wrapped around her personality as well, just to make it feel really authentic since it's so personal.
Right.
But the script is done, and I have a DP, but I don't want to say who they are yet, just in case they have to drop out.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm excited about who it is right now.
Oh, who is it? I'll leave this part out. I'm just curious to know.
Autumn Eakin.
Who?
Autumn Eakin.
Autumn Eakin. Okay. What has she done?
She has had numerous films at Sundance, and she worked on this Lena Dunham Lenny project that I did last year as well. That was at Sundance, and she just shot a film with the actress from Jane the Virgin.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Jane the Virgin and Lakeith Stanfield. A new film, a new Netflix project.
Right okay, yeah.
So she's great. Hopefully, we can keep her.
Yeah, good luck with that. I hope so. And you'll just have to, those listening will just have to keep checking back and keep in touch with the film, which is, by the way, again, called Me Time. We'll just keep following Me Time and through its fruition. How's that?
That sounds great.
So you were mentioning, of course, the subject matter, which is, I don't know, it is sort of, sexually speaking, it's the last frontier masturbation, isn't it? It's like everything around regarding sex is sort of, I think, it's been done, or like it's out there. Yeah. I mean, I don't know
about everything, but a lot of things, a lot of the mainstream things.
It's quite a bit of the non-mainstream as well. However, but it does seem like this is a subject which people find harder to talk about. Maybe less though than years ago, but it's such an important. You talk about making a short being part of the necessary process to become a filmmaker in the journey, because making a feature is a huge thing, and it helps a heck of a lot if you've already made a bunch of shorts, and it also, I'm sure, producing projects helps become a filmmaker, etc. All these things. So likewise, let me draw a comparison. When you're figuring out sexuality and you want to engage with someone else, which I hear can be very gratifying. How do you get there? Well, masturbation. It's a very good way to get things going,
So sure,
learn about your body and
You're making short films with masturbation.
Well, or features with, screwing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or, well,
going
I'm just
all
saying.
The way. Maybe it's like a first base. Maybe it's more like a first base, second base, and then going all the way, like analogy.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to learn how your body functions. And also for men, I can tell you, it's a good way to just control yourself.
Right.
I don't know about women.
I mean, everyone's different. See, here's the thing, though, is that people don't talk about women's sexuality,
no,
at all. Even in everyday kind of stuff, in the media, definitely not. And definitely not women of color.
Some TV shows now are starting to really do it.
Yeah.
I've seen it now with a few TV shows. I'll have to think about titles, but... Yeah,
it is happening more and more, but it's still constantly circling around either a male gaze of what that might mean, like a performative aspect of masturbation from women or orgasm from women, or it's just always about success or something, or someone having a good having an orgasm in a successful way, right? It's not a lot of vulnerability around it. That's what I kind of mean.
In what way do you mean?
In the way that so the whole film, so Me Time is really kind of around Deborah saying to her other selves, I'm stressed out and want to decompress, and Soulful Deb is like, let's get it on solo kind of thing. And so what happens ultimately is that Scaredy Deb sort of make questions to all of them whether they've really had an orgasm or not. And they're at first like, oh yeah, sure, of course, duh, because it's like this is this performative faking thing they're even doing for yourself in many ways, for a lot of women. And I think that that kind of truth is not discussed very much in the media, or the different levels of dissatisfaction or uncertainty, or it's like the inhibitions or the questioning of pleasure, and because in social interactions, I mean, there are a lot of people out there who get what they want, in bed, and that's fantastic. But there are a lot of social interactions where women's pleasure is still very much on the back burner. And so I think we don't talk about that as much in the media, and I want to be honest about that and do it in a way that's funny and that can also be empowering at the end of the day.
Is Deborah also she's kind of open sexually in terms of her partners too? Did I get that from?
Here's the thing: it has nothing to do with partners.
It's all about Deb and her own.
It has nothing to do with...
Her partners are herself, parts of these parts of herself. Gotcha.
So this is the thing. It's it's not about this male gaze. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It's just about your own thing.
Because Spike, of course, explored that with... She's got to have it, but exactly the way you're saying. Right? From his standpoint, from the men she was dating. Exactly. Which was still, she was very empowered. I mean, character.
Yeah.
It's definitely a groundbreaking character, but
yes, of course.
This kind of is exploring the next level to it.
Yeah. I think there's just a lot of room for women to do this journey on your own. And it's true. I mean, it's not about other people for the most part. And like you were trying to saying earlier, getting in tune with yourself. Well, if once you choose to start engaging with other people, will help pitch you in a better place, set you up for success. Yeah. But it's in this particular case, it's about the journey, not the destination.
Okay. Yeah, that destination. It's about another destination, maybe, but which is
It's basically how they always have women going on hiking trips alone, and they're like, I found myself in the woods. It's like that, but it's 20 minutes in your bedroom by yourself,
20 minutes.
Depending.
Yeah, I know. And again, the campaign is ending on July 12th, you said? So, okay. So I could see time is of the essence here, because this is now July 5th as this podcast goes up. So we have a full week left to make your goal. And even though you're saying, as we're recording, you've now tipped over the 10K mark, or thereabout, I'm sure you'll be well along by by
I hope so.
Sure.
We're coming up on a holiday weekend, so it's tough.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never really could figure that out. Even with where you were helping me and a number of other people from Kickstarter about that, and they were just like, you just do it. Just if you're going to get hung up on every single thing. Another thing I was waiting for, which at the time that I was doing it, was Trump was still relatively new in the job, and I when I was gearing up towards launching my campaign, so that would have been about a year ago, actually, because I ended up launching at the end of the year, but I was kind of already working on it during this late summer into the fall, and what I kept waiting for was, when are these? Oh, and there were all these disasters happening too. So not only just coming from the White House, but also just natural disasters. And there was like Puerto Rico and the that disaster, and I kept waiting for the right moment where I wouldn't feel like a jerk. Hey guys, I know it sucks, Puerto Rico, and they need tons of help and resources, but hey, I could use some too. So I kept putting it off, and I couldn't. There was never a time.
Yeah,
that was going to be good. So eventually, I just took the leap.
Yeah, I mean, I was experiencing something like that with my first week.
Yeah.
Where, because even though this immigration issue at the border has been happening for a while, it kind of really escalated and became really prominent in people's lives. Yeah. The first week of this campaign, right. And so again, I didn't. Yeah, and then you're making a
comedy about masturbation. What could be more self-centered?
Yeah,
I'm joking with you.
No, it's true.
It's an important documentary. I mean, it's an important film.
No, thank you.
Subject.
I'm just teasing. No, I get it. But that's the thing. It's like, I also felt like, being outraged about these children being ripped from their families is more important than my short film, I
don't know what you're thinking.
I don't know, yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, everyone has a story to tell, and I feel like even hopefully one day, like those mothers or those children and those parents will have the opportunity to tell their story for themselves too. And that's what I feel like I was saying about my new chapters. I'm really focusing on telling my story and telling stories from my perspective that other people I think will identify with, that is rarely seen. And so I feel grounded in that, despite all the other BS that's happening in our country right now. We have to just keep telling our stories too. Yeah, and
I know that. And authenticity is so important now, and honesty, because it's sort of really being tested, and taken for, I don't know, just not really appreciated enough. Yeah, where you can find it, because there's so much lying and deceit that we're emphasizing right now. I'm saying there are a lot of good people doing a lot of great stuff, but the emphasis is so much on negativity. It's hard. Everybody's kind of fatigued from it. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing, is that folks who supported the first week or emailed me or whatever the first week were really excited to see something that was maybe a little bit fun or uplifting, or could give them a smile on their face because of all the junk that's going on in the world. And it's hard to be a filmmaker in this time. Yes. For a variety of reasons, especially if you want to make something that makes you feel good, but we desperately need this stuff too, in a way. Yeah. To have balance. Yes. Because there is a lot of stuff on the negative side. And I've made sad movies in my time as well. But this particular moment is one that's sort of actually a complex, mixture of maybe things that might feel a little bit discouraging and uplifting at the same time, all wrapped up in a comedy about masturbation. When you finish it, where do you want it to go? Where would it be? Where are the ideal venues, or rather platforms, or what have you, where it would be seen?
Well, I mean, I'd love to premiere at a great festival, of course. And
why?
I don't know. It's again. So how we.
So that's a good start.
At the beginning of the conversation, we were saying that short films are a way to build your repertoire as a filmmaker, to communicate, when you start making a feature.
And create relationships with festivals.
Yeah, of course. Build relationships. And also it's just great practice. I mean, that's kind of how I feel more for me. It's about like really good practicing your craft, like writing and putting something together, the producing, the, you know, flexing my director muscles and visualization, you know, muscles. I think that's really key for the feature that I am working on, that I want to do in the next couple of years, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you like, it's in the writing phase, right?
Yeah, I have a film. It's a feature. The current title is Kayla and Eddie en français. It was in the Sundance Creative or Sundance Screenwriting Lab earlier this year in March.
Okay, well, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
So that's Kayla and Eddie in French. Is that what it is? En français?
Yeah, but you'll say en français.
En français. No way. My son is in Paris right now, so I'm feeling he made me miss him. Yeah, no, I'm happy for him. I'm getting all these dispatches, you know, these photos, and he looks like
he's never coming back.
I did get on FaceTime with him last night, and or his night, and he seemed, you know, still 14-year-old, you know, not really that impressed. I'm like, come on, man. Yeah. But then when we were talking about the food, he sounded very excited. He said the food's very good.
Yeah.
I said, yes. Damn right it is. They invented cuisine. That's why it's called cuisine. What I was going to say, yeah. I mean, we're going to move it a little bit into, I do want to discuss that a little bit, since it's something you're working on in a way that we can get benefit from it, which is for listeners to hear what that process of getting into the Sundance Writers Lab, whatever it's called. It's one of their labs.
Sundance
Screenwriting Lab.
Sundance Screenwriting Intensive.
And so, like, what was involved in that? What are the expectations, or what's involved? How do you get into that? You submit, and then that check or something. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. I think they invite. I can't remember if the screenwriting lab itself, like the bigger screenwriting lab, the major one, is invite only, or if it's open call. I can't remember.
How do they know if you're word of mouth? How do they know, like,
to find me?
Well, to invite somebody as opposed to taking submissions. How do they know who to invite?
Because they're tracking people. You know,
they are.
They have an eye on people. I mean, I was also in the Sundance Creative Producing Fellowship last 2 years ago. And I think that they knew that I was working on fiction stuff. And so, you know, they kind of reached out to see
because you create relationships and then word of mouth.
Yeah.
Whoever's.
But they're watching us. They're all watching us at all times. They know exactly what we're doing.
Wow. Big brother. Jesus.
No, in a great way. In a big brother in a healthy way. In a way that's like looking out for you, which is great.
Right. Yeah, the good big brother.
Yeah.
Not the one on TV or the one
big
Orwellian
sister.
one. Big sister?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. So you're working on this. This came out of that. Or did you go in with a seed, or did you actually have like a draft?
Yeah. No, you go. Yeah, I went in with an 8th draft.
8th draft?
Yeah.
Jeez, okay.
I think I had the most drafts, though. I think everyone else was on their 1st or 2nd draft.
Really?
I believe so. I didn't ask everyone, but I think most people are in their
Is this like a 100-page? Or
yeah, it's 105 pages right now.
Wow. Good for you.
Thanks.
Jeez, that's I was going to ask you because I'm working on something myself, which has been, in the process of. I look forward to. I gotta, let them know about it, but I get the word out. I guess start to make it known so they can keep their eye on me.
Exactly.
It's all women. Just so happens.
Oh.
No, mine is.
Oh, in your film.
Just weird. I didn't plan it. It was based on a true event that I was. It wasn't like a big event. It was a small thing that happened, but I was in the kitchen of a friend's house upstate when the kernel of this story, where it was, I was hearing it unfold, and the story involved like a mother and an aunt and a daughter / niece, whatever, and her friend, who was a young woman. So it was like all the characters in the story were these women, but it sparked this idea. And so I just used that situation as a kind of launching point. And so all the main characters are women.
Cool.
So, hashtag that, motherfucker. I don't know. I'm just hoping it's not a bad thing, I mean, I like the idea of like having a female director.
Yeah.
On this.
Oh, okay, so you were just writing the screenplay.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to direct it. I mean, I can't direct a feature. I got to do some shorts. I'm not a filmmaker, historically speaking. I produced a couple of small things, but I'm not, or co-produced, or associate produced at this stage, but I have not directed.
Well, that would be awesome to have a woman director involved.
I totally would love that. I think that would be a great idea, and it would be a great way in for me to learn that, and I could produce or be a producer on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, anything else? So good luck with that.
Thank you.
And good luck with the campaign.
Yeah, I can say, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll wait and say what the film feature is about. But I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
It's about
as much as you want.
It's basically a father-daughter, kind of odd couple, fish out of water story. This black father and daughter who end up in Paris together. The daughter has a work trip out there, and the dad decides
she has a
work trip.
Oh, okay. She's a grown woman.
Yeah, grown woman, yeah. So a grown woman daughter has a work trip. The father is a former addict, a drug addict, and they've never really made amends. And
right.
And then, something happens where he realizes that he needs to try to do that and and buys a ticket to Paris and follows her. And it's kind of about the two of them figuring out how to be the right person for each other on this trip. But yeah, it's also a comedy. I guess it's kind of a drama. It's like a family dramedy, I would say.
Yeah. Well, getting the tone is always key, right? And that's where the work is.
Yeah.
And in the script as well as in the direction, the editing, everything.
Yeah.
But when I watch the shorts for New York Film Festival, which I've been doing, so submit next for the. That's a good thing to do.
Thanks.
But no, like for next year.
Yeah, it's probably too late.
Yeah, oh, it is. It's they close. No, I mean they the deadline passed.
It's like May, yeah.
But they don't take features anymore, unsolicited.
Oh yeah.
They only. That's relatively new.
Yeah.
Where they just now, because they weren't accepting them all this time, but they were taking the submission fees, so they realized this is not a good thing. We have to stop doing it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, they were. I mean, technically. Is that the right way to put it?
They were
looking at them. They were watching, but they realized they weren't accepting any of them.
Yeah.
Or it was so almost infinitesimally small number.
Yeah.
They said so it just doesn't look good or smell good or whatever. So they do take shorts. So I've seen a lot of about 100 shorts, and I next year hopefully I'll be doing it again. So
cool.
But it'd be good to get in there.
Yeah.
Film festival.
I mean, it'd be awesome to play. A couple of great film festivals, and shorts distribution these days is really tricky.
Yeah, sure it is. Hasn't it always been?
Yeah, but you think it would be getting less tricky, but I don't think it really is.
Well, it seems like there's more festivals for shorts than ever.
Yeah, I mean outside of festivals.
Right. No, I know what you mean. But that is a distribution for if there's enough festivals.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, you can get people into a theater, like if you let's say just want to focus on the Northeast festivals in the Northeast and just do a ton small and not really caring the size of them, like or let's say you got lucky and got one of the big festivals, but if you wanted you have your pedigree there and you've got your premiere, but then if you want to just do lots of festivals, you could do a bunch in the New York area and get everybody out.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what other options there are until online or
online. I mean, there are a few folks out there who are buying shorts, and there are definitely a few platforms for showing a short.
Yeah,
and they have audiences, which is nice. Built-in audiences already.
That is good.
Like Vimeo, of course, or Short of the Week.
Oh right, Short of the Week. Yeah, there's a few others.
Topic.com is showing.
Which one?
Acquiring shorts. Topic.com.
Topic.com. I have to check that out. I didn't know about them.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're part of First Look Media.
Okay.
I'm working for them right now. Full disclosure.
Oh. If only you had an in there. Kind of could possibly be a conflict of interest too. Yeah, you don't think about people buying shorts, but sure.
They're here and there, and I feel like I wish fees? That do
you get festival fees ever? Like if it got into Sundance or something?
I doubt it. I wish that places like Alamo would be better at buying shorts. Because they have a captive audience, people who are ordering their food ahead of time. You're sitting there before the feature begins.
And they're playing all the
They're playing all these like random,
silly
hipster things, which is nice. But it's like you could also help a filmmaker build an audience and play, 2 short films before the feature begins.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to do that while people are milling in and about.
But they'll be quiet. If people knew that there were shorts before the feature, I feel like people would go early, order beer, and sit down and
would you mind it
film.
In that context? Would you mind it if the lights were still up?
I don't think I would mind, because having been to the Alamo, it's not full lights up. It's like it is pretty already like hospitable when you walk in there. Well, yeah,
because you got to see what that other hipster stuff as you've labeled it, what they're playing, so they know they can't keep the lights fully up, so people wouldn't be able to see anything on the screen, and they want to,
I think it'd be great. Like even Metrograph, like folks that are really that get what we're talking about.
Yeah,
smaller theaters
right.
to do something like that.
Yeah,
but even just like bigger theaters like Landmark,
Yeah, but there are a number of film. It's true. There are a number of theaters, art house and otherwise, that are coming from a filmmaker's, if not vantage point, advocacy.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we look back at as the chains that are more in bed with, if we want to say that, with distributors or sales agents, that kind of side of it. Mm-hmm. But, Metrograph is a great example. Film Forum is probably another.
Yeah.
Draft House possibly, that where they're actually really behind the filmmaker and what's at their interests.
Yeah.
Have their interests at heart.
They should try it out.
Yeah.
But there's also spaces, like Refinery. I'd love for this film.
I haven't been there either. Yeah.
No, I mean like online, like Refinery 29 is an online thing. But I feel like I'd love to get this film in particular, Me Time, out to women-centered spaces, and so there is, I think, hopefully an opportunity for like community type screenings and like community outreach for this kind of film, because it's also going to be like 10 minutes and. It'll probably even maybe okay to show to high school kids, potentially. Wow. We'll see.
Public schools might have, might be
we'll see how it looks at the end of the day.
Stick with the charter schools and
girls program, like after school programs, and there's opportunities there. I think.
Yeah. I think some of these taboos have to be.
Well, if we taught girls to masturbate more intentionally, there might be. I mean, there'd definitely be obviously like a whole generation of girls who are much happier in their lives, but also there might be an impact on how promiscuous kids are these days, and how safe they are, and where they look for pleasure, and like mental health, et cetera, et cetera. Also, how boys develop, that could really help it, with girls being more empowered and aware of their bodies and their own feelings.
Right. This is only going to help boys in the long run, I think. And also, taking also these the men have a lot of pressure too, sexually speaking. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. Yeah. There's a lot of messages that we're getting also, and and I think another real problem is, which has to be really dealt with, is pornography, because it's getting to younger people all the time. It's really, really. It's a mixed signal, because on one hand, you want to teach people that sexual content shouldn't be something to be ashamed of. However, the porn industry is not doing a great job of really, it's not about sex. Often, it's not about sexuality, I should say. It's not really about a person. Yeah, right. Yeah, and so it's not the right messaging to send to young people, or even anyone. But at least as adults, hopefully you've reached a certain level where you can kind of decide for yourself. Yeah. But anyhow, the
other fun thing, by the way, with Me Time is that, like I was saying, the chatter in your heads, these different parts of Deborah are also represent like her internal monologue and an internal conversation. And that's something that is super rare for definitely a woman of color. Like I've tried to make a list of films where there's a woman of color, where you really get a sense of her thought process on film, either through narration or through like an explicit representation of internal mindsets. Like with other films that I've always loved, like Memento or I Huckabees or these other, there's always a white man that we get very clearly what they're thinking in their heads. And it's always, of course, very fascinating. But there's very rarely opportunity for women to have that same kind of screen time prominence put on what is going on in their heads, and even more rarely for women of color. So I'm excited for Me Time to kind of try to help open that up even more.
When this connects with audiences, you're going to then want to adapt it into a feature? A little too soon to ask. Let's focus on the short for now.
I don't know if we need. I don't know. I know in films don't need to be. I don't think this needs to be a feature.
Yeah, right. In other words, what you're saying is just because you have successful masturbation doesn't mean you have to go and then have sex with somebody else to prove it, to make it.
You could just be by yourself forever. That's my plan.
No, don't do that.
Just kidding.
Good. All right. Well, this has been great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, sure. Let's not wait another 400 episodes.
Yeah.
No, you'll come back on for... Well, you can come back on any time, of course.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll come back for Kayla and Eddie.
En français. And then après... I don't know how you say it. Après ça. How do you say after that?
Play what?
Et cetera, et cetera. There.
Oh.
Just, on and on.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.